Hello and welcome here on Eurosport. Hello and welcome from Imola, where we are waiting for the second qualifying session for tomorrow's San Marino Grand Prix. Ayrton Senna on the provisional pole position and Michael Schumacher alongside him on that provisional front row. Well, certainly Damon's qualifying on Friday was disrupted by his trip across the grass, and there's another smiling face, but one that would prefer to be right now in his Ferrari taking part in qualifying. Jean Alesi, another injured driver recovering from his neck injury. He's not wearing the neck brace, and I'm sure his doctors will not be entirely happy about it, but he wants to show the people at Imola, he wants to indicate that I'm well on my way to recovery. I really want to be at Monte Carlo in 2 weeks' time. Well, that decision will not be made certainly until at least sometime next week. Alesi desperate to get back into Ferrari, and I suspect Ferrari desperate to have him. Embarrassing for the two Simtek Ford drivers.
First of the top runners to be out is JJ Leto. There we see him in the Benetton Ford. Michael Schumacher in the Benetton Ford, going through that chicane that is blindingly quick.
Well, in fact, we've got a guest with us this afternoon who was sitting directly behind the part of the track where Rubens Barrichello piled into, and that's Dave Price. And Dave is a man who's very well known throughout motor racing circles, from Mercedes-Benz World Sports Car Championships through to Brabham team in Formula One. Dave, you witnessed that whole incident. What do you recall of what was a very frightening moment from the commentary position?
Well, he certainly come into it carrying a lot of speed, a lot faster than the previous lap, and it was a very frightening incident, the whole thing. The noise, the speed it happened, but I'm pretty sure that he made a mistake on the entry. But I think maybe because he's on a fast lap, he wanted to try and recover that and carry some speed through, but he never recovered from it, and hit the brakes very late and took off over the ramps as we saw yesterday, and it was an alarming collision with the wall just above the tyre barrier, and very frightening from where I was sitting, I have to say.
Well, in fact, talking with Gary Anderson this morning, he said not only did Rubens get the back of the car out, he actually accelerated, I suspect, to try and check the slide, but in fact all it did at this point was guarantee that he was going to go off track very quickly indeed. But just waiting to see what Schumacher does at the completion of his first flying lap. He's currently second quickest alongside Senna on the front row of the grid, and that's a 1:21.942, and that is quicker.
Despite the fact that it's hotter than it was yesterday, Michael Schumacher improving marginally, but 1:21.942. And John, could it be this lap, or should it be the first flying lap because of the temperature?
I would imagine that the first flying lap, if you get a clear run on the circuit as Schumacher had, has got to be your best shot. He's certainly not taking it easy. He is not doing what we have seen happen previously, where after one good lap you give the tyres a chance to recover. This is total commitment from Schumacher. He has the momentum up. He has the clear track. He's going to try and take the maximum advantage of those conditions he can.
Another man to improve is Eric Comas, now in 18th position, and Ukio Katayama on his third lap, getting very close to his time from yesterday, 400ths of a second. Going through the Marlboro chicane is Michael Schumacher on the completion of his third lap. Whoa, he looks pretty wild there.
Well, very, very committed indeed. Just tried a little bit too hard on the exit of the chicane. 1:28.21.885, again further improvement. So only just 0.3 of a second now between Senna on pole, Schumacher second place.
Qualifier is Bertrand Gachot. Ratzenberger 25th, Beretta 24th, and David Brabham is 23rd.
Well, in spite of the heat, certainly we're seeing at the back of the grid reasonable improvements. And now looking back towards the front of the grid,
Gerhard Berger, and he's got the latest version of the Ferrari. The code that they've given it, some obscure reason, is the 043. He had this engine for qualifying on Friday. Larini didn't. Berger has got a fresh one for this afternoon, and we suspect that Larini doesn't have one either.
22.113. The time on your screen is the time Gerhard Berger did yesterday. Well, we get Johnny Herbert, Christian Fittipaldi and JJ Leto all out on the circuit as well. And 2/10 away from Senna's best, and that, John, is closer than Gerhard Berger has ever been.
And you could see just how hard Berger tried on the exit of the chicane. Opposite lock on, and of course no traction control to keep it in check. A major lock up. Left wheel coming into Ravazza. Those are shaving thousands of seconds away. Comas directly ahead of him. That's a distraction. But Berger absolutely committed to the limits. Temporary teammate Nicola Larini.
22.678, and I suppose the time lost, we see it again here in replay.
Well, that certainly contributed to it, but in fact I think that he lost also quite a lot of time on the exit of the chicane, and that along with the wheel lock-up is just enough to well, what was a very good lap indeed up to that point, just destroy it. More variety of people on the pole position.
Well, he had a pole position a long time ago. Andrea de Cesaris, a man who is, Johnny Herbert, that's not the way to do it. Well, we look at the positions. Johnny actually coming into the pit.
Well, he didn't intend to come into the pits. He lost it under braking for the chicane, spun across the track onto the grass. He then decided that, well, let's go into the pits as quickly as possible, make the best out of a disappointing job.
Senna, Schumacher and Berger is the top three. We'll be back after the break for more action from Imola here on Eurosport. 8.92 of Ayrton Senna means to Damon, I think he's a little quicker. No, he's not. 0.2 of a second. Well, we've seen that before, that people got very close on that second intermediate, but can Damon carry the speed all the way around the lap and get on the front row?
Well, Larini kept well out of his way, and good use of mirrors from Larini. And Imola, like any racetrack, can get extremely busy, and it's important that those that have had a fast lap and a clear lap allow those that are trying to achieve the same opportunity.
Damon, good exit from that last corner, a 1:22.587, and now Damon is on the second row of the grid. In fourth position, alongside Gerhard Berger's Ferrari. And can he squeeze another time out of this set of tyres?
Well, he certainly hasn't decided this is going to be an easy, slow lap. The car looked very good indeed. It appeared to me to have very good grip, and in particular, out of all the low-speed chicanes, it was economical as well as efficient. Now all down into the chicane just before Acqua Minerale. And again, important here to get the power on, but not abuse it or not misuse it. Climbing up to this, really it's a very fiddly and not particularly satisfying chicane, climbing over it more than on his first flying timed lap. Now down again into Ravazza. The temptation, it's quite steep downhill, so you tend to need, or you have to brake maybe rather earlier than you think you should do. Again, wide on the exit of Ravazza. I think the tires are maybe just going away from him on the completion of this lap.
Damon Hill turning in on his way to a 1:21 lap. When he crosses the line, the clock stops at 1:22.168, and that is another improvement, but still on fourth position. Well, John, I think that's a big question. Is Damon going to get on the front row? And, well, the man in between us today, Dave Price. Dave, what are you doing here at Imola?
Well, one of the other things I do is make a few bits and pieces for people in carbon fibre, and just out to check some of our customers and